It is Saturday morning, so parents wanted to give you a heads up. We are going to talk about some adult stuff here. A new study appears to derail the long-held belief that men are obsessed with sex instead of thinking about it every 7 seconds. The study suggests guys think about sex only 19 times a day. For women, it's only about 10 times a day. Sex therapist Ian Kerner is here to explain the results. Ian, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we're not as bad as people thought we were. Are you surprised at the results?
You know, I was, because this was a study that was taking place with college students. And so 19 times a day, I mean, when I was in college, I thought about sex all the time. What are these kids doing today at college? Actually working? Studying? They have stuff on their minds.
Where did this notion come from that men thought about sex 7 times a day?
You know, that's been seven times a second. Every 7 seconds,
right,
which would be 8,000 times a day in a 16-hour day. That's kind of ridiculous. I mean, even at my peak, I think I only thought about my wife 6,000 times a day. No, it comes from, it's been bandied about for decades, and it actually comes from a misunderstanding of the original Kinsey study, which came out in the 1950s and was sort of considered the Bible of sexual statistics. So as best we can tell, that idea that men are constantly thinking about sex was a misunderstanding of the Kinsey study.
And let's talk about women. 10 times a day?
10 times a day.
Surprise you?
You know, it surprised me that both sets of numbers were rather low, and I think in the end, at a high level, when you look at them, rather similar.
Yeah.
So I think, if anything, in the end, I think we had the stereotype that men are dogs. Everything a man sees gets processed as sex, and so I think we can say that, hey, it's less than that. It's in line with other things like thinking about sleep and thinking about food. All of the numbers are sort of in line, and men and women are more similar than dissimilar.
Yeah, there's some obvious answers to this question, but are there factors throughout the day that makes this subject pop into one's mind?
Well, yeah, and you know, I think first of all, we live in a world that's saturated with advertising. I mean, it's hard to walk down the street and see Victoria's Secret windows and whatnot and not think about sex. Also, but you know, I personally believe as a therapist that sexual thoughts are healthy. When I meet people who don't have sexual thoughts, that's when I worry, because that usually is an indication of depression. So I think, you know, being in good health, being in a quality relationship, just living in a world that does happen to be saturated with images of sexuality, all create an environment that lead us to think about sex a lot.
So if you're a guy and you think about sex more than 19 times a day, you're still okay?
I think you are okay. I think if you're not thinking about sex at all, then you should be concerned, especially if you're in a relationship, and especially with all of the stress that people feel, the anxiety. If anything, I feel people are thinking about sex less than they should be. Now, if you are obsessively thinking about sex, that could be an issue as well, particularly if it's distracting you from work and other things.
Okay, Ian Kerner, we always like it when you come in. Thanks
That's always fun.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.